Hey everyone, last video did pretty good, didn't it? I was writing the script at fucking 1:45 in the morning, the day after it got uploaded. I'm always on that grind, man. And today I want to be talking about people who are most definitely not sex-obsessed teenagers on the internet, who are also Professor Lando's prime target demographic. If you don't know who Professor Lando is, he's a content creator here on YouTube who makes a type of content I like to call porn-education. Copyright. Trademark. Original character, do not steal. Porn-education is exactly what you think it is. Pornography education. I assume most people aren't actually interested in the science of, this kind of stuff. They kind of just act like iPad toddlers during puberty. So instead of seeing a Family Guy clip and bright colors in the thumbnail and watching that shit for 4.5 seconds before clicking on to the next video, they see big boobs in the thumbnail and watch it until they realize they're not actually getting big boobs, they're getting some Asian dude who looks like he dropped out of theater school talking about French musicians. I think a good comparison to show how sexual humor is done right would be Beast Child.
Hey buddy, I can see that we're struggling right now. You got your fists clenched, you're grinding your teeth.
I'm very aroused.
His videos have a lot of sexual humor, but they do actually have some kind of substance to them, whereas Lando's sex jokes are typically something along the lines of, big boob funny. Enough of the intro now. It's time for what you've all been waiting for. The first video on the chopping block. This one's called Femboys Explained.
Perhaps even prompting a genre of internet media. In recent times, the platform Pornhub has even introduced the term femboy as a searchable category.
I don't like how he's over-enunciating all the syllables. He sounds like Jonah Hill in 22 Jump Street when he was doing that slam poetry bit.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
You can see in the video he's constantly looking at some kind of Google Doc or a script, but with all the constant stuttering and the pausing, everything just feels really unscripted.
Donning a traditionally feminine aesthetic by wearing, it could be a range, right? It can include all of the following or one. Wearing makeup, feminine clothing, dresses, thigh highs, panties, garter belts, and chokers.
I gotta admit, I did actually chuckle at this one. I think if Lando did more of this kind of humor, instead of walking that line that's right in the middle of too sexual and not sexual enough to be funny, his content would be much funnier. Everyone loves a good gay joke, but it's gotta be subtle, Lando. You did this one right, but your other content just doesn't have that kind of subtle effect. There's one part of the video where he just rambles on about Schrodinger's cat. I'll show it at 5 times speed right now so you don't have to feel how long this joke fucking drags. This is the kind of humor that nobody enjoys seeing. You can't have a bunch of build-up for what people think is going to be a good joke, and then it's just not. And before you start going into the comments and saying, but what if people aren't watching the video because they think it'll be funny? What if they actually want the education? Really think about what you're saying. Education. On porn.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
I actually think that Lando would be able to perform much better if his series was on the hub. Right now he's trying to walk a very fine line. He's talking about porn on YouTube, meaning that he has to abide by YouTube's community guidelines, so he falls into that middle section where he's trying to be funny without getting his videos taken down. And obviously it's very hard to do when you're talking about porn. If you moved a series onto the hub, or any social media that had much looser policies regarding sexual content, you'd be able to talk about porn in a comedic way, rather than a very mundane way where the jokes can't have any real punchlines without getting the video taken down. So it just kind of seems like the sexual content itself is the punchline. Something I've noticed with Lando's content is that when you look at the videos from about a year ago or more, a lot of them aren't actually sexual and are more just explanations of things surrounding pop culture. I don't know for sure, but I'd say that at some point in 2021 or 2022, he began dabbling in more sexually oriented themes in his videos, and he realized, well, this works, I guess I'll just start doing more of it. Because when you look at the less sexual videos, like explaining the mind of a weeaboo, or explaining which celebrities are furries, you see that they only have a few 100,000 views each, which, is still a lot. That's coming from someone who averages like 40 views per video, but a few 100,000 isn't much compared to the millions he's getting on the more sexual content. His most popular upload is Submissive and Breedable Explained, with almost 5.5 million views, followed by The Real Reason You Like MILF So Much, with about half that amount. Here's where I get real preachy. Not to get too political here, I've seen how that goes, but sex is not funny Now don't get me wrong, I love a good sex joke. You know, boobs are hilarious when done right. The issue is when they're not done right. There's a difference between that famous Speed clip about the certain gender he wanted to see, and putting a picture of a pair of thighs on your conscientious objector in TF2. You see? That's not funny at all. Here's an example of some immature sexual humor that's done right. I'd really love to credit whoever made the original, but it's been reposted so many times that it's almost impossible for me to figure out where it came from. I feel like a lot of this humor doesn't actually come out of being genuinely funny, but more as people just wanting to look at fictional women with big boobs and say,
well, actually, this is a very comical image. Meme, if you will, and not just an excuse for me to look at pornography by brushing it off as comedy.
That's the end of the video. Thanks for being with me on this incredible, shitty journey. Please don't send any hate to Professor Lando, and if you want to be a part of this community, feel free to join my Discord server. Links in the description. There's a lot of really cool people in there, such as myself, and I do polls there all the time asking what kind of content I should make next. So if you want to have some input in my next video, you can vote there or just leave a comment about what you want me to make next.